We're going to take some notes on density. Let's go ahead and we're going to title this page Density, a clean page in our notebook. And today's date is the 10th, so we're going to put 2/10. And what we're going to do first is we're going to define density. And when we talk about density in 5th grade, we always talk about relative density. So we're going to write relative density, and we're going to define that. And when we talk about relative density, which you guys just in the lab were looking at that, you were looking at the density of those objects, we're comparing the density of two objects to see which one is more dense. And what we're going to do now is we're going to draw a cup like what we did today, and we're just going to talk about those 3 liquids that we put in there. So let's go ahead and draw our cup. Relatively large because we're going to add some things to it later. So we have our cup there. And we're going to go ahead and put the 3 liquids that we tested. And if we remember from the lab, at the bottom, this was our syrup that was at the bottom when we added all 3 liquids together. Our syrup was at the bottom, and in the middle was our water, and at the top we had that layer of our cooking oil. And when we compare, what we're comparing is we're comparing which one is more dense. And when we look at this, what we need to always remember is the item that has the most density is always going to be at the bottom. So in this case, we're going to write down here at the bottom, we're going to write dense equals down to remind us that the more dense object is going to be down. So let's write that first, remembering that dense equals down. And then what we're going to do is we're going to label this so that we can understand what we're looking at. So down here, our items that are at the bottom are going to be more dense, and they will be the items that sink. And we will add solid objects to this. Right now we're just talking about our liquids. And the items at the top, those are less dense, and they will float. So when we're looking at this, we could say that the syrup is more dense than the water because the syrup is further down. Or we could say that the water is more dense than the cooking oil because the water is farther down in the cup. You could also say that the cooking oil is less dense than the water because the cooking oil is above, on top of the water. And the same with comparing the syrup and the water, you could say that the water is less dense than the syrup because the water is above. That's a little bit about density. Tomorrow we will add more about adding some solids in there.